Whittaker Weekly is a 3-episode anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't. I'm Andrew.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whittaker Weekly. Let's get right to it. Okay, so you found a little bit of news for us to go ahead and cover right at the beginning of the episode.
I did. It turns out Kyoto Animation has announced that they will use none of its arson donations for business recovery, and all of it is going to the victims.
That's great. That's some really good news.
I don't know if we covered it before, but there was some. I remember another article that came up that said that the donations will be considered for disaster relief as opposed to crime relief, which is technically a crime, but it's being treated as if it is being treated for tax purposes like a natural disaster. So the donations aren't being taxed either. So
that's cool.
So that's a lot of money to help out those the victims of that horrible crime. So wishing them all the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Right. And I know that this is the week that a lot of
so real fast. I just said yeah, no. Want to go ahead and clarify what I was intending to say there. I didn't mean to say no, we don't wish them all the best. I was like, yeah, no, we obviously wish them the best, is what I was trying to say. So, right. Anyways, yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on from that.
But
it's okay. It's not anyone's ever going to watch this.
It's a quick little announcement is that it is the week that a lot of new shows for the fall lineup are starting to air. So this is dropping on Friday. The day after that, we should see new episodes of My Hero Academia and Sword Art Online.
Nice.
Dropping this Saturday. So looking forward to those.
Yeah, that should be cool. Okay. So let's go ahead and also we should go ahead and announce that we are going to be at Anime Bonsai next week recording an episode there, kind of a special episode in addition to our regular one.
That's true.
So yeah, look forward to hearing from us about Anime Bonsai, and if you're at Anime Bonsai, then we hope to see you there. All right, so let's go ahead and dig right into it. This week we watched Soul Eater. It was my pick. We're kind of moving on into October now, and
going into a Halloween theme.
Yeah, we kind of want to do kind of Halloween themed episodes. But I've seen this show quite a bit. I own it on Blu-ray, and I know you've watched the first bit, but haven't really dug into it. But we decided to go ahead and watch it again and go ahead and talk about it. But so here's the synopsis. Maka is a Meister and Soul is her weapon. And they're a frickin' lethal team in battle against the monsters and ghouls that feed on innocent souls. That's when Soul transforms, literally, into a razor-sharp scythe, and Maka wields her partner and unleashes her inner slayer. Fighting alongside their Meister weapon classmates, Maka and Soul are the world's last line of defense against evil. All right.
Okay, so the first episode started off with one of the greatest little introductions to a show. It is this very deep tonal speech about the darkness in the world and the importance of Soul Eater, importance of these special kind of hunters that are going out being trained to go and kill the demons that are bringing a maelstrom of insanity to the world and this, that, and the other thing. And then suddenly that voice stops being that voice and starts being the Grim Reaper's goofball voice. So it's a fantastic little transition, and it's worth the first 3 minutes of the first show. It's just so good.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of wanted to point out, I didn't write it down, but this show, I really love the opening and closings for this show. They've got some great music, some great action. Kind of lets you know that you're in for a fun ride for this series. Um, but anyways, so episode starts off, and Maka, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
already slipping. My brain's already slipping here. Maka and Soul, the two partners, they
They're going out hunting a creature that they call Jack the Ripper.
Yep, a creature that they call Jack the Ripper. There are people out there who have done such evil in the world that their own souls have become twisted. I didn't write down what their souls become. I mean, even the wiki just says evil souls. But they fight this guy who's Jack the Ripper, who's just kind of this big, elongated man with massive, long claws, and we see him kill a woman from the shadows at the very beginning of this episode. And he's about to kill another one when they stop him and fight him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an exciting battle.
Yeah, they're very good at hand-to-hand combat. They are expertly trained. It's well animated, and it's kind of what we've come to expect from anime when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Fight scenes. It's very entertaining, very interesting to watch. Lots of little moments that pile up. Just pretty well choreographed fight scene. As Maka wielding Soul as a giant scythe against this guy's knife hands.
And they yeah, and it's like we said, it's a pretty entertaining fight, and they beat him. And after they beat him, earlier when he killed the first woman, a little blue orb came out of her, and Jack the Ripper ate that orb, kind of implying that he's eating the human soul. Which they actually explain that later on. Yeah. And when he dies, a kind of a red soul with some red scales on the edges come out of his body. And then Soul eats it.
Yes.
And then it's revealed that they have eaten 99, and now they're 99 of those souls, and they are now ready to move on and get their final step. And it's revealed here that they have a goal of turning Soul into what's called a death scythe. And a death scythe is an extremely powerful weapon that is the personal weapon of the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
And so Maka, and this is something I've always liked about this show, is the phone number that they use to call death. And she goes over and she kind of breathes on a glass. She's like, we should call the Grim Reaper and report in. So she breathes on the window and she says, Shini Goro Shi, which is 4242564. But anybody who knows Japanese, and they explain this in the subtitles, but anybody who knows Japanese knows that Shini means death. So 4-2, she's saying death. So she's saying Shini, death, and then Goro Shi is a play on Koro Shi, which means kill. So she's literally, the Grim Reaper's phone number is death, kill. So.
Yes. And so she breathes on a window, enters the number, and then the window becomes a magic portal which connects to Death's magic mirror that he uses to keep tabs on everybody. And Death is there with a man with red hair who turns out to be Maka's dad.
Oh, Maka's dad. Hold on, I'm getting a little slowdown between the two of us. I forgot to plug my laptop into rather than using Wi-Fi, so hopefully that should fix it now. Okay, anyways.
So Maka's dad plays the overprotective dad card, but does it wrong by first saying that warning Soul never to lay a hand on Maka, and then when Soul mentions that he's not interested in her in that way, the dad then gets offended that, well, you could at least try to put a move on my daughter.
What's so wrong about my daughter? She's incredible.
Yeah. And it's at that point that he tries to tell his daughter that he loves her, and Maka shuns him in the most brutal way. Like, I don't even consider you a father. Stop talking to me like this. And he's so distraught by this situation that he jumps off into a corner and sulks on the ground for a time. And then after a while, he's sulking and whining so much that the Grim Reaper pops out one of his hands, turns it into a giant paddle, chops him in his forehead, and says, "Knock it off or I'll bring out the Reaper chop." To which he replies, "Tell me that before you bring it out."
And as this conversation progresses, the dad keeps saying something. Like whenever he speaks pretty much, it's something incredibly embarrassing. And the Grim Reaper chops him on his head every single time. And he gets progressively worse. Like at first he's just on the ground. Then he's on the ground with a pool of blood under his head. Then he's on the ground with a pool of blood under his head and some blood squirting out as a fountain.
Yeah, a fountain. Yeah.
And then he's on the ground where it's everything again, but now there's 2 layers of that fountain instead of 1. So every time he gets hit and every time it gets worse.
Mm. And then later in that episode, we find out that Maka's dad enjoys spending his free time at the kind of restaurants where women sit with you.
Yep, a hostess restaurant.
Oh, there it is.
And he's got his hands around these women. Well, Maka hates her dad. Like, yes. He is trying to do his... I don't know if don't want to say if he's doing his best, but he's trying to speak to her, but he's doing it in a super embarrassing way. Like in some comedic art, he pushes his head against the Grim Reaper's mirror and pushes it out as if it was rubber or plastic instead of being a mirror. Mm. And that reflection is also being shown, or what he's doing is also being shown on Maka and Soul's side. Yes. And he's pushing through the glass. And she says something along the lines of, "I don't have a dad who's trash like you," or something like that. And which makes him super depressed, and he goes over and he just cries for the rest of this scene. But he so this is why she thinks he's trash. But anyways, so
yes. Well, so one of the hostesses asks about the daughter, and the other hostess, puts her hand up to her lips, in a trying not to show what she's saying, and whispers back, "Don't talk about the daughter like this in front of him." Oh? And then she proceeds to give all of the exposition as to why...
he loves his daughter, he loves his wife a whole lot, but he's such a womanizer that eventually his wife separated from him, and now they're going through a divorce. And like it cuts back between the 2 women, and they're just like this the entire time, and his expression just gets worse with every single cut.
And until eventually he just cries out, "Maka! Daddy loves you, please forgive me," and just runs out and causes a problem, starts doing laps around the building, comes back in and pays his bill, and then is invited to come back, like, and then runs out and screaming again some more. Meanwhile, Maka and Soul, having consumed 99 of the evil souls, now need to consume a witch's soul to reach their master potential, go out looking for a witch. And they find a witch living in a pumpkin taking a bath.
Mm-hmm. And she's using magic to clean herself, like she's using magic to go ahead and scrub her
back.
Scrub her back and things like that. And they Soul is rash, and he runs up to the witch's house, and rather than keeping his plan, the plan that they were going to Maka's talking about them needing a plan, and Soul's like, "That's not cool," and he just runs off and he crashes through her window, which happens to be the window of the bathroom, and we have a humorous scene that follows with him lying in the tub on her, him having a bloody nose and flipping backwards and stuff like that.
Yes, and Soul is so obsessed with being cool that he hates anything that happens to himself that isn't cool, and getting a bloody nose around an unclad woman is the very definition of uncool and so he's not liking the situation at all.
Blair. Sorry, I was looking for the name of the witch, and it's Blair. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, so they end up so Maka and Soul end up fighting amongst themselves, and then Blair jumps out of the bathtub, and it's an interesting shot because she jumps up and out of the bathtub naked, up and out of the camera frame, and then down again, dry and completely dressed. So it's an interesting little transition there. And then she proceeds to flirt some more with Soul, knowing that she has charms over him. And then once she's tired with flirting, throws a flaming pumpkin at him.
Yep.
And they have to retreat for the day.
Well, and this is something that I enjoyed, that I wrote down that I liked about the first episode. Yes. There's this great bit that it just says the next day. It's a what's it called? The a title card or something like that. Yeah, a card that says the next day. And in Japanese it says Sugi no Hi, which is the next day. They go back and they just get destroyed by Blair again. Oh hey, Blair Witch. Huh. I never put 2 and 2 together like that before. But anyways, yeah, Blair Witch.
Okay.
Anyways, they so they lose again, and then it says the next day in English, but in Japanese it said Sugi no Hi, which I think is funny because they actually have a word for that. I don't remember what the word is, but they have the word for like
the day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. I think it's like otoshi or something like that. I could be wrong though. I'll have to look it up. I've forgotten so much Japanese. But anyways,
so they have a legitimate word, and they're not using the legitimate.
Yeah, they're not using the legitimate word. They're just saying sugi no Hi, which is the next day, which they translate that properly into English. But then like they're talking about how they need a. Well, they keep failing. They're, like Maka's like, I've got this plan. We'll go ahead and do this, and Soul refuses to listen, and they're running away from her, and they just keep losing. And then again, there's another card that says the next day, which is Sugi no Hi. So, Bible. Anyways, yeah. So I just liked those title cards. They just got progressively sillier for me. But anyways, they
reminds me of the title cards for Durarara, which just had like a million Ra's in the around and around in a circle. Sometimes.
Okay, but so eventually they're fighting her, and they get knocked off a roof, and
yeah, so all those next days happen in like the forest between the city where they live and her cottage out in the woods. But eventually, the fighting ends up in their home city.
Well, I think it's also important to point out. We kind of forgot to mention that Maka's telling Soul to be careful because this is a witch. This is unlike anything they've ever fought before, and it's kind of showing that these two are real good fighters, real good students, and they're not getting anywhere close to beating this witch. And the entire time.
I thought that had to do mostly with because, like I was saying before, they are experts at hand-to-hand combat, and this witch has projectiles, and so I think so in a visual style, it just signified that these people were never trained on how to deal with someone with projectiles, specifically projectile explosives.
I didn't gather that from it. Maybe it's just because I have knowledge of the rest of the series, but they fight plenty of people that have projectile ranges, and they fight against people who are good against close quarters combat and things like that. It's just like different levels of skill, and this witch is far and beyond them. And they actually, in episode 4, I'm kind of sad we didn't watch it because one of my favorite characters is introduced in episode 4, hand-to-hand combat the entire time, and this person just walks all over them, just like toys with them.
Okay.
But anyways, so eventually they get knocked off of a roof because they're now fighting in the city instead of in the forest.
Yes.
And Maka digs Soul's blade into a roof and stops herself from falling. Oh, and I was going to say, this entire time Blair is trying to convince Soul to join her.
Yes.
It's like, please be my scythe. You're so cute. And as they're
and I won't, and I'll forgive you for everything that she's annoyed with you about, or
exactly.
things like that. That she won't even hold anything against him if she just joins him.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, they as she's hanging there from the roof, Soul says, "Enough is enough," and transforms back into his human form, and then just drops Maka, drops her from the roof onto a pile of garbage,
into a dumpster.
So she's not hurt. But yeah, and she's not hurt physically, we should say, because she's very upset with him. And he says that what guy on earth would ever stick with a flat-chested girl like you when they could have a curvy, beautiful woman like this? And the cat's just like, thank you. Like, that's great. Or like the witch, I just spoiled it. But the witch is like, hey, that's great. I'm so happy to have you type thing. And then we cut to Maka, and Maka is very, very upset. Maka's upset because she has some flashbacks with her dad and seeing her dad being the womanizer that he is, and her growing to despise men because of it.
Yes.
So
it cuts her really deep to be betrayed by one man for another woman.
Yeah, well, it's that, but also it says that the one man she finally felt that she could trust, the one man she finally opened up to and let in, and this person, Soul, just betrayed her.
Yes.
And so she says, "What's so cool about infidelity among men?" You know, and just at the top of her lungs, just screaming it. And he's like, "There's nothing cool about it at all." He's like, and then he.
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm cool.
I wouldn't know.
And I would never do anything like that. And suddenly one of his arms turns into the scythe, and he holds out his other arm, and the scythe is wrapped around the witch's body, and he holds out his other arm to be turned into a scythe. And it's at that moment she realizes, oh, it was a facade to get him close to her. It was a ruse to get him close to her. And she forgives him pretty much instantly, and they would take out the witch. Cut her in half. And then there's a soul there.
A purplish soul.
Which is indicative of a witch's soul. And they eat it.
And then there's this cool scene with Soul getting like
all these sides coming out of his body.
He's like, "This is incredible. Wait,
I feel
nothing's happening." Anticlimactic. Bam. Nothing happens.
Yeah. Then we find out that wasn't a witch, was a cat with high magical powers, but not a witch. And the cat had 9 lives, and so it has 9 souls.
Who walks up with the hat on, and they're like, "Wait a minute, no," and she's like, and Blair then turns into her human form again and says, "Yeah, well, the thing is, I never actually said I was a witch, so yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just a cat with really high magical powers."
And then the phrase that Death said during the call is that, remember, if you screw up, all the 99 souls you got will be invalid. And suddenly the word invalid is slammed into Maka's head again and again and again, as she realizes that all their hard work, the last 100
kills,
they have to start over.
Yep. So yeah, they have to start all the way over.
That's basically the first episode.
Yeah, that's the first episode. Second episode, we move on to introducing the next pair of Meister weapon kids, and
unlike the first pairing, this time the Meister is the guy and the girl is the weapon, and that's true for the next 2 sets of Meister and weapons.
Yep. But anyways, so there we open up
Black
over
Star. Black Star is the guy's name.
So
and he's like a blue-haired Naruto clone.
Yeah. And I will go ahead and just say that I tried watching this show in English, and Maka and Soul were fine, and so was Blair. This was years ago. The moment I heard Black Star's English voice, I went nope and switched it right back to Japanese. Oh. So it grated on me. Not to say that the voice, I think, was voice actress. Not to say that she's not a good actress. I think I've seen her in other things and she's fine. It just didn't fit Black Star at all in my mind. Okay. But anyways, so we open up with a mafia family who are eating souls, blue souls. So you can already tell that they're evil people, that they're all evil. And we cut to above the above that family in an air vent, we meet Black Star and Tsubaki. And Black Star, we don't see Tsubaki yet, but Black Star is there, and we hear Tsubaki's voice. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that this family, there's already 100 people who are evil, have evil souls. So if we kill them and eat all the souls, we can get all 99 that we need in order to turn Tsubaki into a death scythe. And Black Star says... the two of them start repeating the or not really repeating, but rehearsing, I guess, stating that's what I want. They're stating the 3 rules of assassination. I didn't write them down, but
they repeat them over and over again through the episode.
Mm-hmm. And safe to say that Black Star completely ignores them. And Black Star is an assassin that sucks at being an assassin. He has the personality that he is the kind of guy who will climb to the tops of the heavens and be greater than God. That is not the type of person who should be an assassin.
No.
Okay. That is not the type of person who should be an assassin, but that's what all his combat skills are.
Yeah. So what he ends up doing, which is just hilarious, is he jumps out of his hiding place with his weapon in hand, which becomes these 2 kata held together by a long chain. So they're like mini scythes held together by a long chain. And then he holds one like a microphone and announces his presence, announces who he is, and that he's there to assassinate you. And you will never see me coming. Because I am just that great.
I'm just that good.
Then all the henchmen pull out their guns and begin opening fire, and they have to make an escape.
They make their escape, and Black Star brags about how great he is, with Tsubaki just kind of looking on, and being too good of a girl to chastise him. But so Tsubaki, she is a unique soul, or she's a unique weapon. All the weapons can only turn into one kind of weapon, but she can turn into multiple. She turns into a smoke bomb, a chain scythe, a shuriken, a ninja sword, the little naginata. Is that a nag? I don't. The small blade, and another mode that we can go ahead and reveal later. And she earns another one through the course of the series. But she is
a ninja toe.
A ninja toe?
That's what I think. I think that's what they called it when he said to take that form.
Maybe.
A ninja toe sword?
Ninja toe, maybe. I don't know.
A small sword with no handlebar?
I think, yeah. It's according to the wiki, it's just ninja sword. Yeah, ninja toe. Okay, yeah. Ninja toe.
Yeah, that's what I remember the original Japanese saying.
Yep. There's a couple other weapons. One is a big spoiler for what happens later on, so I'm not going to go ahead and talk about that one. But then there's another transformation that they reveal later on. But she transforms into multiple things, and he's actually very skilled at using every single one of her forms.
Yes.
But anyways, they go back to school, and they run across Maka and Soul. And Black Star and Soul, are 2 peas in a pod. They're great friends.
Yeah.
And they, they ask each other how their previous missions just went. Maka and Soul obviously just got back from their issues with Blair, and they just don't want to talk about it. And they ask them how, or Maka and Soul ask Tsubaki and Black Star how their job went, and oh, you didn't get anything again, huh? Yeah, so that again just implies that they've gone on a lot of missions and have not ever come back with anything. Tsubaki does not have a single soul to her name. Regardless, though, Black Star keeps promising Tsubaki that he will make her into a death scythe.
And so they go after a quest that is 100 souls plus a witch all at the same time.
Well, hi. Sorry, Toby just jumped up.
Yeah. And so the one they want to take out, the 100 souls and the witch that they want to take out, includes this the witch named Angela, who has a bodyguard, and it turns out that
well, yeah, they learned that the mob that they were going to take out is going after this witch.
Yes.
And so the Grim Reaper tells them that this is a perfect opportunity for them to go ahead and prove themselves and get it right. And he kind of tells Tsubaki that she could have so many other options, But wait, no, he doesn't say that. That's Sol and Maka. They're kind of watching over them. Toby, stop that. He was playing with this. Sorry. It's a cover for
your lamp.
Light bulbs. Huh?
Yeah, for your lights. Yeah.
Yeah, for my lights. But I think this is what was causing that light bulb to overheat. Because I haven't had any issues with it ever since I removed this. But anyways, he decided to go and start playing with that. I should probably cover it so he can't. But anyways, or find a different place to store it. Yeah, kitty. No, don't. Anyways, so Sol and Maka are watching them go off to this mission, and Maka's like, man, Tsubaki's so great, she could have absolutely any choice of a master or of a meister. And Sol's like, yeah, but Tsubaki's not like that. And besides, she sees the potential that Black Star has. And Maka's like, yeah, you're right. So, before they leave, though, Black Star is chanting to himself about hiding his presence, how he can suppress his presence instantly, and no one will be able to find him. And he climbs up, and he's like, I'm so good, I'm going to go ahead and show that Tsubaki just how great I am. I'm going to sneak up right on her, and she's never going to notice me. And he climbs up, and he gets to the top of where he's climbing to peek into a hot springs where Tsubaki is currently bathing. And as soon as he sees Tsubaki's backside, he screams out in, excitement, to which she creates a morning star out of her hand and just hits him right on the forehead.
Yep.
And she said, and her complaint is...
Her complaint is, if you're trying to be an assassin, you should make it so I don't notice you.
Exactly. Something like that.
It's almost as if she'd like to be peeped on.
Mm-hmm.
So long, she'd be okay with being peeped on so long as she doesn't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because on the one hand, she'd like to see him reach that level, but on the other hand, she's not just going to give it to him. She is throwing a ninja star at his forehead anytime that she notices him.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, then they go off to this adventure and find 100 of these red souls floating around.
It starts. We actually see the mob going to this place to get the witch, and the mob run across a swordsman. And the swordsman says, "If you're here to threaten the witch, I'm her bodyguard." And the mob is just like, "Bah, just gun him down." And then we cut back to the academy, and then back to here. And then all the souls are dead. They're all the mobsters are dead. So
every last one of them, and he's just fine. Not a scratch on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ugh.
Okay, so then this bodyguard and so there's the bulk of the episode is the main fight between this bodyguard and Black Star, and how they're in combat with each other and how they interact. And Black Star is so full of himself that while the bodyguard doesn't want the blood of a child on his hands, he will fight. And when the opportunity to cut Black Star in half presents itself, he uses the flat of his blade.
Mm-hmm.
Which knocks him out, which knocks him down for a little bit. But the back of his sword.
Well, I want to go ahead and talk about this fight a little bit more, okay? Because
right.
I really like this guy's style. And it's one of the things that I wrote down. He called it infinite sword style. So this guy, he has one sword, and Death and Tsubaki are in front of him, and or not Death, Black Star and Tsubaki are in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And they, this guy, Black Star is obviously bragging like he usually does. But this guy, knowing that they're there to threaten the witch, and he's the witch's bodyguard, he says Yojimbo, which is paid protector or something along those lines. Okay. He pulls up this kind of like a golf club bag filled with katanas.
Yes.
And he chucks the katanas into the air. And these katanas are now just spread across the entire battlefield. And this guy he's super quick and super strong, and he has placed his weapon all across the battlefield, and he just goes from sword to sword to sword. Wherever he's at, he has a fresh weapon to attack you with. And it's really, really cool seeing him fight. Like not Death. Black Star is really skilled at combat, but he's not able to defeat this. He's not able to get past this guy's defenses, and so he finally gets separated from him. He turns Tsubaki into a ninja star, a giant shuriken.
Yes.
And he throws it, and there's this big hole in the middle of a shuriken, like there is. And so the assassin, or not the assassin,
the bodyguard.
The bodyguard, yes, thank you. The bodyguard, he jumps up and drives his sword into the hole to where now the shuriken is stuck and can't go anywhere. To which Black Star tells Tsubaki to turn into a smoke bomb.
Mm-hmm.
She turns into a smoke bomb, fills the entire area, and this fighter, this Yojimbo, he is not able to find Black Star. Hi, caught myself that time. He's not able to find Black Star until Black Star screws up and announces his attack from above, to which Tsubaki's just like, "You idiot, what are you doing? You announced yourself again." She doesn't say you idiot because she's too nice, but she's like, "You announced yourself again, you just lost your advantage." And that's when he gets struck in the stomach with the katana.
And gets called a little kid because he, and this is just part of the brilliance that is the stupidity of Black Star, is being called a kid and being treated as a less than lethal danger must mean that the bodyguard thinks he's better than him. Thinks that he's putting him down to make himself feel good. And that's what causes him to lose his temper and go into great fighter mode. Is this misconception of what's going on with the situation. And so in his furious anger and righteous retribution, Black Star commands his weapon to become a ninjato, and they form, and he then proceeds to make his own presence to disappear while the bodyguard's staring at him. And the bodyguard can't figure it out. It's like, this kid's gotten way too serious. How is this the same kid I was fighting before? And then he starts to disintegrate. The boy, Black Star does.
Well,
and reveal.
The fighter, he notices that the presence is completely gone. He's just like, he's not the same. Like, he's completely erased his presence. Just like Black Star had been bragging about this entire time. He's able to do it. He's able to completely erase his presence when he's being serious about it. Yeah. The problem is he's so prideful and so stupid, he's not often serious. And I think his skills as a fighter also get in the way of that pride, because he's a good fighter. But And then he's like, wait a minute, no, there is a presence. It's very faint, but it's almost as if it's someone else. And that's when
and that's when the body starts disintegrating and revealing that the entirety of the body and the weapon was an illusion created by, what's her name?
By Tsubaki. And that's her other form, illusion or transformation, where she can, it pretty much lets her transform into a dummy replica of her Meister. So I'm pretty sure it has to be her Meister. But yeah, she looks exactly like him.
So it's kind of like one of those Naruto doubles, and it was actually a log the whole time. Poof things. And then it turns out, and then Black Star was behind him the whole time, and then gets in a very powerful chakra-filled punch, or something that's causing his fist to glow blue when he punches him when he punches the bodyguard in the spine from behind.
Well, yeah, I forget what the attack is called, but he puts his own energy into that attack, and they actually kind of go into that later on, where they start the fighters, the Meisters, and the weapons start learning how to put their own souls into their techniques and deal more damage. Like I was saying before, Black Star is a great fighter. He's actually a genius level fighter. He's able to do that naturally, which is what he did just then. But I also wanted to point out that, yeah, he's a great fighter. Once he got close to him, he was able to take him out. But he sucks as an assassin. He's terrible. He even says that the proper way of an assassin is to fight someone like face to face, fair and square. And it's like, that's not how an assassin works.
That's not even what you did. You literally tricked him.
That's not how any of this works. Exactly.
You fight straightforward, face to face, like a true assassin. No, that is not what that word means. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Okay, so he defeats the Yojimbo, the bodyguard,
just in time for
he turns Tsubaki back into the chain scythe style, which is the two scythes with the chain between them. And he says, "Tell me where she is. Tell me where the witch is." To which, what happens?
And so suddenly, the witch turns out to be like this 6-year-old girl who can fly a broom and has very little power, flies down and stands between Black Star and the bodyguard, saying, "You leave him alone. You stop picking on him." At which point, Black Star's sitting there going, "It's right here. I could kill this girl. I've got 100 souls here, and I could upgrade and get a death scythe right now. But I don't think I could sleep well at night knowing that I killed a little kid."
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's also because he's so prideful, he wants to do it himself.
Yes.
So if he had killed all of the mafia, then yeah, they would have eaten the souls. But he's just like, this isn't the right way. Well, I guess prideful isn't the way to do it. He has his
code of ethics.
His code of ethics. Yeah, thank you. He has,
So it sometimes translates to pride. Like, do you have any pride in your work? Do you have any?
Exactly.
So it can translate into pride, but usually it does refer to a code of ethics, like their moral code.
That's not the right word I'm looking for either, but it's fine.
It's also about his legacy. He wants his legacy to be a certain way, and if he gets to death, if he gets a death scythe by cheating in his own book, then he won't feel like he's earned it. And so he turns it down, but he collects the souls and eventually hands them as a bag to the Grim Reaper. But it was at that moment where he says that he doesn't want to he won't be able to sleep well at night knowing he killed a kid, is exactly what the word for word what the assassin said to him earlier. So
yeah, so the episode ends with Black Star and Tsubaki turning in all the souls, just giving them straight to the Grim Reaper. And he's like, "Are you sure about it?" I was like, "Yeah, no, we don't. These aren't ours." So,
well, you should have taken him and run, because that's what I would have done. Said the Grim Reaper. It's like all this moral grandizing. Like, what's the point? Just you should take him. But
okay, so that's the end of episode 2. Episode 3 starts off with
we're introduced to the third set of characters.
Yeah, we're introduced to the third set of characters. And it starts off with us learning about a character by the name of Death the Kid.
Yeah.
And
what happens is somebody they call Lupin robs a bank, or robs a soul bank, or robs a mansion of a whole bunch of souls, and then is running away with the bag. And then a kid with 2 guns that he holds upside down, so he pulls the trigger with his pinkies. The guns form girls. They turn back into their girl form, and they do this Chunibyo pose, introducing themselves, but one of the girls is slightly offset from the center of the pose. And it upsets Death the Kid so much that they let the bad guy get away. While he's busy berating them. You listen to me about how important perfection is. He's jumping on the bag. He's gone. Stop interrupting me when I'm talking to you. All right.
Yeah, so he's got I don't know if they're twins, but they're sisters. By the names of Patty and Liz. Liz is tall, long, light brown hair, whereas Patty is short, or not, shorter than her, still taller than Death or Kid, and has short blonde hair. And we learn very quickly that Death the Kid has a complex. And that complex is I don't know if there's an exact word for it, but he is obsessed with symmetry.
Yes, he is.
Which is why he fights with 2 weapons instead of 1. Why he has the 2 guns, and why they're sisters.
But he's deeply, deeply troubled by the fact that they're not the same height, have the same hair color, or the same physicality.
Bust size.
Yes.
I guess that's a good way of saying it. Yeah. They just don't have those. They're
not identical.
They're not identical. They're not identical. They're not, and anyways, they then get Liz gets upset at him for this, especially since he groped them to complain about their differences in size. And she complains about Death, even though he's obsessed with symmetry, has 3 white stripes only on half of his head.
Yes.
To which Death, or the Kid, or let's call him Kid, to which Kid,
he collapses to the ground and cries about being garbage, about being a trash person.
He is worthless and shouldn't be allowed to live because of how disgusting he is. He's just a lowly, disgusting pig. To which Patty just starts laughing at him, and Liz is like, "Crap, we can't move on when he's like this." And so she says, "It's so," and so she compliments him and manipulates him into being okay with it.
Besides, pigs don't say meow. Pigs say oink, and you're a meow person, so cheer up.
Yeah, Patty, along those lines.
Yes.
Patty is kind of an idiot. I don't want to say idiot. She's simple. She's very, very simple. There we go. That's a better way of describing Patty.
Yeah, but she has a whole lot of not caring about quite a bit, and just likes being happy. Doesn't worry about much.
Anyways, so they then get another job from. He has a special way of calling the Grim Reaper, since it turns out he's the Grim Reaper's kid. Yeah. And he's given a job, or he accepts a job that's actually supposed to be for a 3-star level Shinigami. I think they're just called in this show. and but Death gives it to Kid to go and stop a witch from resurrecting an army of mummies.
Yep.
We then cut to the other four: Maka, Soul, Tsubaki, and Blackstar. And they're meeting in front of the school's job postings, because this is a school where they're learning how to fight these creatures. And they notice that a certain job has been accepted by somebody at the school, and they have no idea who it is. And this is another time where we see just how close Soul and Blackstar are, where the two of them immediately run off and act like a pair of idiots, running all around the school trying to figure out who took this job.
Yes.
We even cut to Tsubaki and Maka are in class, and Tsubaki's just like, gee, they sure are late. I hope everything's okay with them. And it cuts to Soul and Death in sync running.
Soul and Blackstar. Yeah.
What's that?
Soul and Blackstar.
My bad. Thank you. Soul and Blackstar running in sync with each other in perfect symmetry, I might add, because one's right arm goes up and the other's left arm goes up in sync with each other like this.
Yes.
So as they're running in perfect symmetry to try to figure out, which is another joke that if it was intentional, genius, because I didn't get it until just now as I was talking about it.
Is that his friends are better at symmetry than he is.
Well, they're not friends yet. They haven't even met yet. But they're going around the school trying to figure out who did this. And finally they come across a teacher who tells them, oh yeah, it was given to, the one who took the job his name is Death the Kid. He's the Grim Reaper's son. And they're just like, wait, what? The Grim Reaper has a son?
And of course it's Blackstar's concern that, the greatest job on the board has been taken by somebody that's not him. So somebody's trying to become greater than him, and he can't have that.
Yeah.
So that's his concern. Meanwhile, we find out that Death the Kid arrives at Anubis's temple, or Anubis's pyramid, and
which is
absolutely
a sacred, beautiful place.
Is smitten by its perfect symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
The interior design, everything's great inside, which makes him wonder, wait, is that mural that I have in that one room? He
almost doesn't want to go inside because of how beautiful the symmetry is on the outside. Yeah. And until the girls drag him in. But yeah, and then it reminds him of what?
Reminds him that there might be a mural in his room or in some place in his house that is up to an inch off centered from where it should be. And it bugs him so much that he feels like the need to go back home. And the girls are like, nope, we're continuing to do this. Quit it with your neuroses. You can check it when we get back. We're doing this now.
The thing is,
they're grabbing him and walking in.
Yeah, well, Patty is totally fine because, again, she's a simpleton. She doesn't bother her in the slightest set. But turns out Liz is afraid of ghosts and dark places. And so she's grabbing onto Patty's shoulder as Patty's just kind of walking through. And she has grabbed Liz has grabbed Kid by the collar and is dragging him on his butt because he's not standing up because of how worried he is about is his home out of symmetry. Is it off? He's like, I think it might be a little bit too much to the right. I have to take care of this. I have to take care of this.
Yeah.
And they then get to some mummies. And the mummy licks Liz is like, oh, actually, these guys are kind of cute. To which the mummy opens it.
Yeah. So what the mummy looks like is it's a smiley face shield coin or something on their face, where their head should be, and they're just a bundle of wrapping around them. So they're a very peculiar style of mummy. So that's why they can, they're kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them opens up
its mouth and licks Liz, to which Liz immediately freaks out, and she says, okay, Kid, let's go ahead and take care of these things. Turns around with Patty and Liz both turn around, and there's this little flashing outline of where Kid should be.
Yes.
which reminded me of another AMV Hell. I know we've talked about that series before,
Yep.
but it's just this little clip,
we're the three best friends that anyone could
have. Yeah, it's just them walking. It's just them to that little number
and
walking through
never,
this
ever,
pyramid.
ever leave each other.
Never, ever leave each other. And boop, 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 he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
So yeah.
Yeah, we both wrote that down
Yep.
in different ways.
Yeah.
So Patty and Liz have to take care of the mummies by themselves, and they both pull a martial. I kind of want to say Starscream, because every once in a while, when Megatron would turn into a gun for Starscream to fire, but they do it for each other, where one of them will turn into the gun and the other one will fire the other as they're blasting these mummies back and forth. And one of the best things was when Patty stuck the gun in a mummy's mouth, and it cuts to Liz's perspective as the from inside the gun. It's like, don't stick me in its mouth.
And Patty then pulls the trigger. But one thing I forget exactly when it happens, but Patty.
It was after he comes back, I want to say.
Was it after he comes back? Okay, well, they end up destroying all these the mummies. And end up making their way to the main sarcophagus, where the witch has already performed the rite to resurrect the pharaoh. But the pharaoh, being upset at the witch for desecrating the souls of his people, killed her instantly.
Yeah.
So they no longer have a chance to kill a witch. Yeah. And the two girls enter the room. And I think this is when Patty switches personalities. I could be wrong, though. But anyways, Patty reveals a bit of their past here, of these two girls' past, where she immediately switches to Yankee mode. And just type thing, I forget what she says, but it's just like extremely rude Japanese.
I swear that happened when Death the Kid came back, and that was her being angry at him leaving them. But I could be wrong.
She's very, very accepting of Death and all of his quirks. So I don't think that's when that happened. I could be wrong, though.
Now, when Death makes his return, when the kid makes his return, the girls are wrapped up in bandages in a pseudo bondage sort of way.
Oh, gosh.
And the animation goes with, bright pink glow aura around the frame and things like that, to make it look like it might be just a little bit sexier than it should be.
It's a bit erotic, and you're just like, oh dear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when he comes in and he sees them all tied up like this, and says, I'm interrupting, I'll leave. And that's what she yells, no, don't go. We lost our powers when he grabbed us. Please save us.
Mm-hmm.
So he cuts he throws something, cuts the cords, cuts the wrappings that have tied them up. Then they have their powers back and they turn into guns. And he wants to blow away the sarcophagus, and then realizes that it's perfectly symmetrical, so he can't fight back.
And so this, all these wrappings keep coming out and being turned into weapons, and just keep striking Kid over and over and over again. Like, he gets hit through the chest, and this is typical shonen anime. So if you're expecting somebody to die from getting rammed through the chest with a blade, it's not going to happen. But also he's a Shinigami. Like, he's the same race as the Grim Reaper, so he's going to be a bit tougher to kill anyways, I guess. Right. But he gets hit over and over and over again with these blades, and then some drills dig into his chest, and the girls are screaming, saying, "Kid, get up, get up. Come on, we can do this, get up." And then one of the wrappings turns into a hammer and starts slamming his body on the ground. But then the Pharaoh says, "I'm going to finish you off myself," and opens up the sarcophagus and comes out. And Death the Kid looks up and sees, we should point this out real fast. On the way in, a bomb or something, some undead creature, disguised itself as this cute little ball.
Yeah, like a panda.
Like a little panda ball or something.
Yeah.
And
he picks it up and he adores it.
Picks it up. It's like, this is beautiful.
Perfect.
It's perfect symmetry. Look at this. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, what? as he notices that one eye has 3 lashes and the other one has 4, and
The
he
rest of it is
immediately
perfectly symmetrical, but for
he
that,
said that was the most beautiful thing in the world to suddenly being complete and absolute garbage, and he just hurls it and kills whatever it was. So
yeah, it ends up being this ball on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, the Pharaoh comes out, and the Pharaoh's just this mass of bandages and weapons and just
It's like an extra
looking.
head coming out of his right shoulder,
Exactly.
and he's definitely asymmetrical in his design, like deliberately a mishmash of monstrous features, left and right. Like he doesn't have a right eye, but he has the left eye, and the left side of his collar is spiked and the right side is smooth, and it's a very distinctively asymmetrical design. And by coming out of his sarcophagus to finish off himself, Death the Kid is so repulsed by this asymmetry that he gets back up and just annihilates him in a few blasts. Just a couple of pulls of the trigger, boom, 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 and he's gone.
Yeah, just destroys him, but he overdoes it and ends up destroying, the Temple of Anubis as well.
On accident.
On accident.
Yeah.
They go back
after leaving the temple. It's after they leave the pyramid that he's sitting there admiring it when it suddenly starts cracking and falling apart, as though the being inside was all that was holding it together, or something. It's like, what happened? Well, it was probably all our rampaging. That's what they said.
Okay.
And they killed an odd number of spirits, so one of the guns has one more spirit than the other, and so that's upsetting him too.
It was an even number of spirits until they killed the Pharaoh and then ate the Pharaoh's soul as well. Anyways, they go back, and Death the Kid is sobbing in front of the Grim Reaper, just prostrated on the ground, sobbing. And the Grim Reaper's just like, well, because you destroyed the temple I sent you to save, you don't get any of the souls that you earned during that mission. You have to relinquish them all. And I was like, wait,
I imagine that the Grim Reaper
big of a deal. You don't have to keep crying over it. Whereas Death the Kid is crying over the fact that he destroyed something of such beautiful symmetry.
Yeah. Then it just occurred to me now that since Anubis is the god of death in Egypt, that I wonder that if Anubis and the Grim Reaper had like this is a favor to take care of something that was happening in Anubis's temple.
Maybe.
But you destroyed his temple, so you get nothing.
Maybe. I don't know. But anyways, that's it for the first 3 episodes. Oh, and then it ends introducing each group. So
yeah. It says, now that the main groups have been over, they've been introduced, the prologues are over, now for the story to begin. It's how episode 3 ends. It's like, okay.
Yep.
Episode 3 ends with, now the story begins. So so the first 3 episodes are just character introduction. And that is Soul Eater.
Yeah. So that's what are your thoughts on Soul Eater?
I want to say that I've watched those 3 episodes before. They were very familiar. Oh, no. I'd watched the first episode before. I don't remember the second episode, so I don't think I watched that before. But so much of the third episode ended up in AMV Hell clips that it just all felt familiar.
Yeah.
So, and there's an AMV Hell clip that I kind of can't wait to see, which is that the slow motion run of Soul and Black Star running towards each other and embracing each other to the soundtrack of Robot Unicorn Attack. Like, always, I wanna be with you. And then when they embrace, like with a rainbow thing over it, and then they embrace, and then somebody shoots them in the head. Just like a smoke bomb to the head or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a no for me. I mean, I want to watch more of it, but it is one of those shows I can't watch around my kids because there is a lot of fan service.
Okay. I've already seen the entire show a couple of times. I will go ahead and say that I am kind of disappointed with the ending of the show. But the rest of the show, I think, more than makes up for it. I think it's a wild ride. I think it's a lot of fun. Great characters, some great twists and turns and things like that. Great animation, great music. I already talked about the OP and the. Is it ED for ending? I don't remember. But anyways,
the opening and ending.
Yeah, the opening and ending, and just the music that they use. Yeah, I really really like Soul Eater. I should probably read the manga at some point because I know the manga varies quite a lot from the anime.
I see.
But anyways, yeah. So I love this show. I think it's great. I think everybody should do themselves a favor and watch it if they haven't already, and they can go ahead and watch it on Netflix. That's where we streamed it.
That's right.
So, all right, and so next week, we're going to be watching your pick for kind of our Halloween month.
That's right. So what I did is I found Crunchyroll's list of 10 best Halloween anime and went through and found something that we hadn't watched yet that looked pretty interesting. Like some of these 10 best anime, when you're looking for it, you end up just finding anime episodes or a given show. Like
well, like almost every single slice of life episode has a horror episode.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you've got the bottle episode in the Lighthouse from Free or 50% off.
Mm-hmm.
I love bottles.
There's a bottle episode. I love bottles.
And then what was it? Oron High School Host Club had a Halloween episode too.
Of SAO Abridged was posted last week. That's news that we should have talked about. But anyways,
sure is. But no, this one I read the description according to this list. So this isn't the synopsis from the show, but this is the synopsis of the show from this list that I wanted to read. It's called The Lost Village.
Okay.
A masterpiece of screwball comedy horror from director Tsutomu Mizushima and prolific writer Mari Okada. Those looking for bone-chilling frights won't find them here, but you will find is an amazing B-movie thriller about a town that presents people with their greatest fears. With ridiculous characters, absurd dialogue, and inexplicable plot twists, The Lost Village is one of the most entertaining horror anime in years. It's almost impossible to catch the so bad it's good lightning in a bottle on purpose, yet Mushima and Okada send us on a nightmare bus tour, winking all the way.
Mizushima and Okada. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and watch that for next week.
Yeah, and I had seen the poster before.
I think I've seen it too.
And I didn't know what it was about, but yeah. Let's see if I can find any more details on it. Yeah, I'm not sure when it came out, but yeah, it's a 12 episode show. Came out, I want to say it came out pretty recently. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're watching next week.
Oh, for this one?
The Lost Village.
2016 is when it came out, it looks like.
2016.
So yeah, a couple of years ago. That's fine, though.
Great.
All right. So that's it for 3 episodes in. We're going to go ahead and move on to recommendation of the week, and it's my pick this week. And our brother Doug pointed out a new manga that Viz actually got the rights to, and he read it right away and told me about it. And I want to go ahead and share it here. And I've read all the chapters that are available right now, and I'll probably purchase the books as they're coming out because this is amazing. It's called Spy X Family. And the best way to describe it is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the manga. The dad is a spy. It's his job to keep the peace between two nations that were once at war. His wife is an assassin. Their daughter is an esper and can read her parents' thoughts. So the
okay.
overall plot is that they're trying that the dad is his new assignment is to get close to this person who's impossible to get close to. The only way that they have a chance of getting close to him and killing him, they need to kill him because he's the head of he's the head of a political party that is trying to reignite the war.
Okay.
So in order to preserve world peace, he needs to kill this man. But the man is super paranoid and never appears in public ever, except for certain award ceremonies at this super prestigious school. So he has to pose as a parent of a child at that school. So he goes and he adopts a child. But he adopts the child from a super shady orphanage because there's no paperwork to sign at one of those orphanages. And it turns out to be the main girl in this series.
Okay.
The main girl whose favorite anime is a spy anime. So she thinks that everything her dad does is the coolest thing ever. But that's only part of it. In order for a child to be admitted, they have to come from an undivorced, married family. So they have to have both the mother and the father. And so that they then need a mom. And it's getting really close to the admissions test for this school. And they that's when they come across the mom. And mom, they come across her at a clothing store, a flower store, something like that. I can't remember what. But she just had an experience at work where the country's secret police took away one of her coworkers because she was an older single woman, and that immediately flags them for being a possible spy. So if she wants to keep her job as an assassin, which is her real job, as opposed to the office job that she has, she needs to get married. So
a marriage of convenience happens between the two of them.
Marriage all of a sudden. I won't go into how it happens or the exact reasons why they decide to do it. But a marriage of convenience happens between the two of them, and they backdate it for a year, so it doesn't look like they just got married so they could get the daughter into this school. Well, the thing that really sells this manga for me at first is the girl's reaction to things, because she overhears her dad's thoughts about how he's doing this to save the world, and she gets super excited about it or super scared about it. And she knows to not tell her parents that she's an Esper, because every adult she's told doesn't believe her or has been driven away from her, and she doesn't want to be abandoned again. So she's trying to learn fractions. And I forget what the dad says, but it's like the dad's line of thought for it, but he's just not getting to her. Whereas the mom's just like, oh, I helped my younger brother learn math. I'm sure I can help here too. And she thinks to herself, oh, fractions. Okay, so you mean it's something like 5/5? The way I always remember it is that there are 5 parts to the body. There's 4 limbs and a torso. So remove the 4 limbs and you still have 1/5 left, which is the torso. And the little girl's just like, ah, as she's hearing her mom's thoughts on that.
Oh wow.
But there's this great bit where they are in an aquarium because they're trying to pose better as a family. He's worried about people seeing through their guys because they're not spending too much time together as a family. They go to an aquarium, and it turns out that aquarium is also a drop-off point for another group of spies.
Okay.
And they have put some film inside of a penguin. And he's trying to figure out which penguin it is. And so the little girl's just like, oh, wait, Dad needs to find the right penguin in order to save the world. Okay. And she psychically figures out which penguin it is. And she says, Daddy, that penguin there looks sick, knowing that she can't say he has the microfilm you're looking for. But Daddy, that penguin there's sick. And he looks at it and he realizes that penguin is drinking up water and vomiting it back out, trying to get something out of its throat. And he's like, oh, so he goes off, poses as a worker, gets the penguin, gets going, but then almost gets stopped by the spies. He escapes from the spies, but the spy who noticed him is chasing after him. The daughter overhears all this because of her psychic abilities, and she grabs the coat of the guy who's chasing her dad and gets dragged along with him. And she screams out, Mommy, I'm being kidnapped! To which the enemy spy is going, what are you doing? Let go of my coat. I've got to get going. To which Mommy then runs up. What are you doing to my daughter? Kicks him up into the ceiling, and his head gets stuck between a pair of pipes, and he's just stuck there. So, yeah, it is gold.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm probably going to find this as it comes out as well, but you can already read a couple of the chapters for free on Viz's website.
Okay.
Or if you have a membership on their site, you can go ahead and read all of them. Yeah, it's awesome. Spy X Family.
All right. That brings us to our creator shout-out segment. And this week it's my turn. And this week I'm giving a shout-out to an artist I discovered last week by the name of Nick Silva. Now, you recall that on the 3rd of October, it was Full Metal Alchemist Day. And I posted an image that I'd found of Ed and Al in a this amazing illustration of the two of them.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
On the other side of the door, and it was just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, and the prints are available actually. But Nick Silva drew that. I found him. Found his some of his stuff online. I found his ArtStation account and his Twitter account, and I made sure that when I posted it on Twitter last week, that he was credited for his own artwork, and now I'm giving him a shout out here. He has, if you'll go to the ArtStation link that I've got here, he has a collection of Konosuba images, where I want to say they're standing in front of the hiragana for Konosuba. They're in a way.
Sorry, I was looking at some of the other stuff. He's got a great Kaguya and Shirogane set of photos or set of art drawings right there. Some great Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, so the Konosuba stuff is right after.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is so amazing. Konosuba. And it's them in poses of doing that little dance
that they're doing with their arms up and down.
But we've got Aqua's face of just sheer terror, with tears in her eyes. Megumin being Cosma with his blank stare,
barely caring stare.
Megumin really getting into it as she's swinging Chomsuke around, and then pervert darkness looking excited is how I'll say it. Those are amazing. Wow.
Yeah, and I think those are flying cabbages around darkness.
Oh yeah, no, like Aqua's got some water sprouts behind her. Cosmo's surrounded by a circle of panties.
Darkness has there's
Megumin has an explosion behind her, and Darkness is surrounded by the flying cabbages.
Yep.
Wow.
And
if he sells prints of these, I want to buy them.
He sells prints of those, and I think they're like 25 a piece, so 100 for the full set.
Ooh, that's worth it, though. I mean, especially if they're good quality prints. Oh, Cosmo's also waving a pair of women's underwear above his head. Oh, he's such a piece of trash. You can't see that
on the first link because it's cropped in the square. But yeah,
okay, yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Oh, by the way, I have my ticket for the Konosuba movie. I meant to say that as well. I've got it for local theater. I'm very excited to see this movie. The world needs more Konosuba.
All right,
awesome.
So that's our creator shout out for the week. So thank you, Nick Silva.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible artwork this guy has. Go ahead and check his stuff out. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening in this week. If you listened in on YouTube, please feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. If you like what we do and want to support us, please share our channel with your friends. That's really the best thing that we can ask for right now. Where can they find us on social media?
Our site, whittakerweekly.com, currently has links to our Facebook page, Twitter account, and YouTube channel. We encourage all our listeners to follow on the social media platform of their preference, and if there's one we're not on yet, please reach out to us on one of the ones we've mentioned, and we'll broaden our scope to include you.
Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Ben Coombs for providing the artwork for our podcast.
And another shout out to Brasmataz and their song Drykolk, which we use for our opening and closing song.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. I've been Andrew.
I've been Lee.
This has been Whittaker Weekly. You guys have a great week.